I remember the last thing my brother ever said to me. He looked at me, smiled faintly, and said, "I think I missed the point of it all." That was 3 days before he passed, and I haven't stopped thinking about it since. This is the story of my brother, the man I looked up to for most of my life, the man I thought was unbreakable, and the advice that came too late for him, but doesn't have to come too late for you. We grew up in a small town, the kind of place where everybody knows everybody and nobody locks their doors. My brother Thomas was 2 years older than me. He was the brave one, the wild one, the one who took the falls, so I wouldn't have to. And I followed him everywhere. I remember one summer, we must have been 7 and 9, we built a tree house in the big oak behind our house. Well, he built it. I handed him the nails, and he let me believe I was helping. That was Thomas. Always taking the lead, always shielding the people he loved. As we got older, life started to pull us in different directions. He went into construction, started his own company. I became a teacher. We still talked, still laughed, but it wasn't the same. Time has a way of stealing closeness without you noticing. You don't lose it all at once. You lose it in missed calls and forgotten birthdays. By his late 50s, Thomas had built a small empire. Trucks, contracts, employees. People respected him, but they also feared him. He wasn't unkind, he was just tired, always working, always grinding. He wore his stress like a second skin. Then one day, he had a stroke. A minor one, thank God. But still it scared me. I told him to slow down. He told me to mind my own business. That was Thomas, proud to the end. After the stroke, he promised he'd take better care of himself. And for a few weeks, he did. Ate better, walked more, took his meds. But old habits die hard. He slipped back into the same pace, the same pressure. It was like watching someone walk back into a burning building. His wife, Diane, begged him to retire, to travel, to rest. But he couldn't. He didn't know who he was without the work. And then she got sick. Cancer. She was gone within a year. Thomas never recovered from that. He didn't talk about her much, but I could see it in his eyes. He had the look of someone who had survived a plane crash but left a part of himself in the wreckage. He drank more, not enough to call it a problem, but enough to dim the light in his eyes. He stopped going out, he stopped laughing, and I stopped pushing. One night, about a year before he died, we were sitting on his back porch, whiskey between us, silence all around. And he said it. "You know what I regret the most? I spent so much time building a life, I forgot to live one." That line has haunted me every day since. Thomas had a heart attack in his sleep. They found him 2 days later, alone. At his funeral, there weren't many people, a few old colleagues. His kids came, but they didn't speak. The bond between them had faded over years of distance. His house was full of things, but empty of memories. And as I stood there, looking at the man I had admired all my life, lying still in that casket, I realized something. You don't just die when your heart stops. You die when you stop showing up for your own life. So now, I want to share the advice I wish I had given him sooner. The advice that came too late for Thomas, but maybe not for you. 1. Stop pretending you're fine. We come from a generation where feelings were private. Pain was silent. We were taught that real men don't complain. They just keep going. But that silence, it kills. Talk to someone, a friend, a doctor, your wife, your son, anyone. You don't have to carry the weight alone. 2. Forgive, even if they don't deserve it. Thomas held grudges, old ones, from our father, from business partners, from life itself, and those grudges aged him more than time ever did. Let go. Forgiveness isn't for them, it's for you. It's the key that unlocks the cage you don't even know you're in. 3. Call your children. even if they don't call first. They're busy, they're distracted, but they still need you. And one day, they'll wish they had heard your voice more. Be the one who reaches out. Be the bridge, even if you feel like they've moved on without you. 4. Downsize your house. Upgrade your moments. Thomas had a 5-bedroom house and no one to fill it. What he needed wasn't more space. It was more connection. Go smaller. Live simpler. Invest in dinners with friends. Road trips with your spouse. Books. Sunsets. Laughter. 5. Say what you mean. Now don't wait for the perfect moment. It won't come. Say, I love you more. Say, I'm sorry when it matters. Say, I need help when you do. Let your people know you feel things. It won't make you weak. It'll make you real. 6. Don't just prepare to die well. Prepare to live well. Thomas had a will, a trust, a life insurance policy. He was ready to die. But he never learned how to live after 60. Go dancing. Learn to paint. Take a cooking class. Fall in love again. Get a dog. Go see the ocean. Start over if you have to. You're not too old. You're just out of practice. Before that final year, before everything spiraled, there was one weekend I'll never forget. Thomas called me up out of nowhere and said, let's take a drive. No destination, no agenda. Just 2 brothers on the road again, like the old days. We drove through winding mountain passes, stopped at a small diner for greasy eggs and black coffee, and talked, really talked, for hours. About our dad, about our childhood, about what we thought life would be. For the first time in years, I saw the version of him I missed. The dreamer, the protector, the man who carried everyone else's weight without complaint. That weekend felt like a spark in the dark, but I didn't know then it would be the last time I saw him smile like that. If I had known, I would have stayed in that moment just a little longer. I would have told him everything I never said. But life moves fast, and regret waits for no one. There is a moment, right around dusk, where the sky looks like it's bleeding gold, and if you stand still long enough, you can almost feel the weight of everything you never said. That's when I miss Thomas the most, in that silence, in that in-between. Because in those quiet spaces, I hear the echo of the man he could have been, and the life he never got to finish. And I wonder, what if we had talked more? What if he had opened up? What if we had one more sunset? That question lives with me, but maybe it doesn't have to live with you. Now, every morning when I wake up, I ask myself a question. What would Thomas do differently if he had one more day? And whatever I think the answer is, I do it. If he'd call his daughter, I call mine. If he'd go fishing, I grab my rod. If he'd tell someone he loved them, I tell them. I live for both of us now. Listen, I don't know where you are in life. Maybe you're 60, maybe 75, maybe 83. Maybe you've already lost people. Maybe you're feeling that same quiet ache Thomas felt, like time is slipping through your fingers. But I promise you this, it's not too late. You're still here. You still have time to heal, to laugh, to forgive, to connect, to live. So please, don't let this advice come too late for you, because the next time someone tells your story, let them say, he lived well, he loved deeply, and he left nothing unsaid. Thank you for listening. Thank you for still being here. And if this story meant something to you, share it with someone you love, before it's too late. Thank you for spending time with us today. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and share the one insight that stood out to you and how you'll apply it in your life. Your perspective matters, and your words inspire not just us, but the entire community. We read every comment, and it truly keeps us going. If this video helped you in any way, give it a like, hit subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this today. Your support means everything. It helps us keep making meaningful content that uplifts, informs, and empowers. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.